Welcome to Triassic Park.
Oh, please!
Maybe a dinosaur theme park wasn't such a good idea. Evolution is the constant race to improve in order to survive in the cruel, unforgiving world we find ourselves in. Creatures are constantly changing and adapting in order to gain an advantage that will ensure they survive in order to carry their DNA into the next generation, which will then further improve upon their genetic design, slowly but surely. But there are rare cases when evolution just gets it right and stops. No need to adapt and change because a creature is already as good as they're going to get. This is the case with sharks and crocodilians, which haven't really changed since the age of dinosaurs. Then, there's our topic of discussion, which has also had little reason to change since the time of the dinosaurs, and still very much a dinosaur itself. The Anjanath. Truly a creature ripped straight from ancient times and found mostly in the ancient forest and Wildspire Waste, the Anjanath does indeed appear to be almost identical to the T-Rex, albeit with black and gray fur on its tail and back, almost like a cape. And yes, I said fur, not feathers. Yet even without feathers, their flesh-toned scales on its bald head do give it the appearance also strikingly similar to a vulture. Beyond that, it has some gnarly fangs growing out of its bottom jaw, making it look like it has an underbite. Oh, but don't worry, it has plenty of equally gnarly and sharp teeth inside its mouth, too. To counterbalance these massive jaws, the Anjanath has a powerful and bulky tail, tipped with quills, as well as powerful legs to hold up its massive body, as well as leap great distances and deliver powerful kicks. Other adaptations of this creature include a pair of dorsal sails going from roughly its mid-back to just before its tail. These allow it to quickly release any excess heat from its large body to cool it down quickly. In addition, the Anjanath also has a large protrusion coming from its nose, mostly deployed when enraged, that is also believed to help release heat, as well as to obviously increase respiratory functions by allowing it to intake more air and improve its sense of smell, which compensates for its poor eyesight. And it's also helpful for launching out great globs of mucus onto cliff faces, trees, etc. to mark its territory. And also, apparently, the mucus is very fragrant. Do not want to know how we figured that out. And speaking of its territory, Anjanath are extremely territorial. While it is willing to let humans off with a warning as long as they keep their distance, it is relentless towards any other monster it sees, even other Anjanath in case of the males, younger ones often trying to steal their territory from their elders, since the females go for the males with the biggest territory. I'm sure there's a joke there, but I won't make it. With that in mind, it's also believed they can communicate with each other with the use of their sails, but this has yet to be proven due to their solitary natures. But still, if Anjanath sees another monster, even if it's bigger than themselves, they will attempt to fight it. And if it's smaller than them, may Elatrion have mercy on their souls.
Jesus Christ!
Now, despite what I just said about them willing to leave humans alone if we keep our distance, this doesn't seem to apply when we are moving in large groups or dragging large amounts of supplies through its territory. During the Elder Crossing, we attempted the monumental task of capturing an Elder Dragon, something that had never been done before. So you may be wondering, what did we start with? Something small, right? Like a Kirin or Kushala Daora at most? Well, no. No, the first Elder Dragon we ever attempted to capture was Zora Magdaros, a mountain-sized dragon with a literal volcano on its back. But to do that, we had to set up a siege as massive as Zora itself in a ravine just outside of the ancient forest. But we were worried about Anjanath getting in the way, so it had to be dealt with first. Yep, we thought we could handle a walking volcano, but only if a much smaller T-Rex didn't get in the way. However, these concerns turned out to have merit, as many hunters went to deal with Anjanath, but were absolutely demolished by the beast. Fun fact, I was actually a medic on the commission before I was a hunter, so I saw firsthand the devastation this brute wyvern could cause to a person. And on the lucky occasion hunters did wake up from the beating Anjanath gave them, this was generally the response I got from them.
Call my therapist. Tell him he's a rich man.
So eventually, too many hunters were put out of commission by the Anjanath, so the commander just handed me a set of dual blades, pushed me out into the ancient forest, and told me to deal with it. And by some miracle, I was the one who finally put an end to the Anjanath's shenanigans. But now the commander won't let me go back to being a medic.
Help!
So, what are the major concerns when fighting an Anjanath? Well, there is certainly plenty to be concerned about. First of all, it has a vicious bite, estimated to be on par with the 6-ton bite force of a T-Rex, which would be like placing a car on its jaws filled with razor-sharp teeth that will be slamming down on you. Its tail can deal some serious damage, especially with the quills at the end. Also, with its super strong legs, it can easily leap great distances to come crashing down right on top of you, or just deliver a kick that could cave in your entire rib cage in one shot. Or it can snap you up in its jaws, chomp down on you, and then throw you to the ground, at which point it's probably gonna stomp on you. But that's not even including Anjanath's greatest weapon. Its sails are meant to help it cool itself off and regulate its temperatures, while the nose protrusion increases its oxygen flow. Temperature and oxygen. What do those things both lead to? Yes, Anjanath is indeed a practitioner of the flame. Thanks to an incredibly well-developed inferno sac in its throat, Anjanath is capable of igniting its mucus to produce incredibly controlled fire. You see, whereas most fire-breathing beasts shoot out a powerful but rather limited fireballs that they have to precisely aim, Anjanath's control of fire nearly matches that of Teostra and Lunastra, as it, too, can breathe a consistent stream of fire that reaches several feet away and can be swept back and forth as the Anjanath turns its head for as long as it holds its breath. If you see an Anjanath with its nose and sails raised, then the absolute last place you should be is directly in front of it. So, Anjanath may seem a bit overwhelming at this point, which is understandable, but rest assured, it is still an animal that can be brought down by anyone given proper preparation and strategies put into place. And the ideal strategy would be to get yourself a water weapon, since as a fire monster, Anjanath is unsurprisingly weak to good old H2O. Just head to the Wildspire Waste and have yourself a Doradus fish fry after you've carved the right materials you need. Also, be on the lookout for water moss. If the name wasn't self-explanatory, these balls of moss are completely filled with water, and being in round balls makes them perfect slinger ammo. Fire this into an Anjanath's throat when it's enraged, and you can almost immediately return it to its normal state. The cold water inside the moss somehow rendering the flame sac temporarily inactive. Also, while the Anjanath was very much like the T-Rex, one big difference is the size of that brain cavity. The T-Rex having a decently sized home in its head for its brain, while the Anjanath is less than spacious. In other words, Anjanath isn't the smartest cookie, especially in the ancient forest, where most creatures are pretty big brain. Once it's enraged, Anjanath can basically be led anywhere you want. This will allow you to lead it into the upper canopies of the ancient forest, where royalty can be found. And by that I mean the King of the Skies, Rathalos, who does not take kindly to the brute wyvern stepping foot into his domain. But the sad thing is, it is actually believed that Anjanath was once the proud king of the ancient forest before Rathalos one day showed up and staked his own claim to the forest. Yet still, the Anjanath is proud, willing to fight against any other monster it thinks will take its domain, even if it knows it can't win. But that is your standard Anjanath, a living relic of dinosaur times, changed little, if at all, over the years because it has had little need to do so. A powerful and capable predator in both forest or desert, capable of standing up to many powerful monsters it may encounter. Alright then, am I done now?
No, there is another.
Ah yes, I nearly forgot. Shortly after the conclusion of the Elder Crossing investigation, the Legiana migration began, leading us to the new frozen landmass that was the Hoarfrost Reach. And there, we found a number of incredible new monsters. as well as striking new subspecies of familiar ones. And Anjanath was no exception. For the first time since we've discovered the species, we've found a new, altered version of them. The Fulgur Anjanath. Vastly different from its ordinary version, this Anjanath has developed an interesting color pattern, to say the least. The white fur and gray skin understandable to blend in with the ice and snow of the Hoarfrost Reach, as well as having tiger stripes which are famous for breaking up the big cat's colors for extra camouflage amongst the tall grass and vegetation of their home, which doesn't really help Fulgur in any way because there's almost no vegetation in the Hoarfrost Reach. But I'll let it pass because tiger stripes are cool. The head, however, I have no idea what's going on there. This just makes him stick out like a sore thumb. This might be why, then, that Fulgur Anjanath is highly nomadic, appearing all over the map of Astera along with the Reach. And wherever it goes, it is speedy and powerful enough to catch up with and take down most of the herbivores it encounters. And somehow, this new Anjanath is on a whole other level from its standard counterpart, able to go toe to toe with the likes of Great Jagras, Tobi-Kadachi, Viper Tobi-Kadachi, Barioth, Diablos, Black Diablos, Nargacuga, Tigrex, Brute Tigrex, Zinogre, and Stygian Zinogre. All monsters most of the time capable of taking down a Rathalos. So, you may be wondering, what could have brought about such a drastic change? A creature in the middle of the food chain suddenly able to hold its own against apex predators? Well, that change would be a change in element. You see, rather than flames, this Anjanath has adapted the use of the thunder element. And this simple change automatically gives him an advantage over at least 50% of all known monsters in the New World. Alright, in all seriousness, this Anjanath has the exceptionally powerful lightning sac in its throat in place of the normal Anjanath's Inferno sac. This causes it to slowly charge up electricity as it fights, and upon reaching a critical state, usually when the monster enrages, it does something very similar to the original Anjanath by unleashing its nose protrusion and sails, which now have an epic glowing pattern on them that honestly makes me just want to stop fighting and look at them. But anyway, instead of streams of fire, this Anjanath now has an electrified bite, as well as possessing the ability to spit out globs of mucus charged with electricity. Yep, it hawks lightning loogies at you. And apparently, this Anjanath somehow got its hands on a copy of Street Fighter and decided to main M. Bison to the point where it even learned to do a lightning version of his Psycho Crusher, flying through the air like an electric missile. So, what should you do while you fight a Fulgur Anjanath? Well, this version is a bit more tricky, as it has two different states, those being when it is normal or charged up, where elements affect it differently. Let's get the resistances and immunities out of the way. It resists dragon and is completely immune to thunder. What a surprise. Now on to what will work on it. In its normal state, it is weakest to ice, even though it mostly lives in a tundra, with fire and water being just slightly less effective. When it is fully charged, however, ice loses some effectiveness, but this is where water takes center stage. In addition, with the exception of blast, all ailments work pretty great on it as well, just like with the original. So, that is the Fulgur Anjanath, a stronger, electric nomad version of the already impressive brood wyvern, and somewhat of an inspirational tale. By reinventing itself and roaming the land, gaining greater experience, it is able to reach levels its fiery brethren could only dream of, and gain the power to take on apex monsters that could previously toss it around like a rag doll. One truly only needs the right weapons and proper skills, and they can take on almost anything that comes their way. So, there you have it, guys. That is my lore on Anjanath. Hopefully you guys enjoyed it and enjoy Anjanath himself as a monster. I always thought he was pretty cool. Besides just being a T-Rex, which is already pretty epic, he is one of the first walls of Monster Hunter World that stopped many a hunter clean in their tracks, and that is something that deserves respect. And his level of control over fire and actual full-on stream like a flamethrower as compared to the fireballs we see from just about any other fire monster, once again, it is a real shocking surprise you would not expect from a mid-level monster. That's something you'd expect from the Elder Dragons. And then Fulgur, once again, really cool. I love the tiger stripe design, and the orange head is a little weird, but still very cool, I think. And the lightning power is, once again, really cool. Like I said, I compared him to M. Bison with the electric Psycho Crusher, and I thought that was really cool. Just like I said, making him the lightning missile, that is always epic. And as you guys probably can tell, I have finally figured out how to take audio from one video and put it over another, so I can finally stop using recorded audio from my phone for my videos, so the audio no longer sounds like crap. You can stop telling me that in the comments. And this means that if I get my hands on the footage, that I can now do lores for monsters I previously could not, such as monsters from Generations Ultimate or Rise. So, for monsters that don't have reviews yet, like Kurapeko is one I've heard people wanting, Royal Ludroth, if someone can record that and send me the footage, I can put audio over it, and I can finally give them a proper lore. And I'll give you a shout out in the description and at the end of the video. Thank you for the footage. And I can do that for Rise monsters as well. So, yeah, I can keep this lore series going for a good little bit, and we can get lores out for monsters that people like, but for whatever reason, bigger YouTubers haven't gotten around to it yet. So if you're interested in that, like I said, let me know in the comments and we'll try to work something out from there. But for now, thank you all so much for watching. If you like this and want to see more, go ahead and slash that subscribe button. If you like this video, give a quick cut to the like button, leave a comment down below, Share it around with all your friends, who hopefully aren't trying to kill you like these guys. Be sure to click the notification bell so you never miss it when I upload a video. And please, please be sure to follow me on Twitter and Facebook. And help spread the love. Then I'll see you in the next video. But until then, my people, stay sharp.